Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Real Heroes Show. Got Cory and Nick with you here as always, and in today's episode, we are talking spoilers beyond spoilers for the absolute banger of an episode that we just got from Marvel Studios Loki over on Disney Plus. It is entitled The Nexus Event, which when I saw the title, I was on a business trip and I knew I wasn't going to be able to see it for like another 12 hours. And I teased myself just by looking at the title and I went, oh man, I got to stay off Twitter today. Yeah. So, again, really, really big spoiler warning here. There's a lot that happened in this episode. If you haven't watched it yet, please pause this video, go check it out on Disney Plus, then come back and see us. Nick, is your brain put itself back together, or is it still a scrambled egg after this episode?
Partially. I thought a lot about this episode yesterday and last night, and I was trying to see what some other people were saying, and I didn't want to really dig too much online either and read about other things. I wanted to sort of do my own gathering of information before we recorded this video, and possibly come up with some of my own theories, right? Which is always fun to do and fun to fail at, like Loki. But there was a lot that happened that I wasn't sure, I didn't expect to happen in this episode alone. So they waste no time, which is I'm all for.
Which is great. We basically pick up right where we left off last week, where Loki and Sylvie are on Lamentus 1.
Right.
Apocalypse is about to happen. There's a little bit of romantic tension, which we had kind of touched on in our last episode. I think I had said something like, leave it to Loki to fall for himself. And I said it as kind of like a passing joke. I didn't think that was really what they were going to dive hard into in the next episode, but here we are. Well,
he is a narcissist, so
it is true. But they hold hands, not necessarily like a romantic way, but it's basically like the apocalypse is happening. They know they're going to die.
It's the end of the world.
It's kind of like the end of Rogue One when Cassian and Jyn hug on the beach right before the blast from the Death Star comes in and gets them. Right. It's almost kind of like, well, you're my person now because we're going to die together.
Exactly.
But that creates a massive branch Nexus event in the timeline, and it helps the TVA find them. They come in, they grab Loki and Sylvie, and we're back to the TVA.
Yep.
Crazy stuff. We had kind of wondered, like, is someone going to save them? Who's going to show up? It turns out that the TVA saved them, and it wasn't because they wanted to help. It's because they wanted to fight them. So, and the funny thing is, like, that would have been cool, but that's just like the very, very tip of the iceberg for this episode. Like, that part almost doesn't matter compared to everything else that happened, which is nuts. So they get placed in their separate holding cells. No. Sylvie has like 5 Minutemen. Loki has like two. And he's insulted by that. But Mobius puts Loki in a basically a memory time loop, and we got a cameo that I didn't like expect to see coming.
Same.
Lady Sif shows up, played by Jamie Alexander, and there were some rumors on the internet that she was going to have a part in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Right.
But I don't think anybody saw her showing up in this show.
I didn't. I was totally surprised. I'm like, because you can even see first on Tom Hiddleston's face where he is. He's like, oh, I'm back in Asgard. What? And then Sif comes out and then, gives him a stiff to the jaw and then a good old knee to the goods.
And then another stiff to the jaw.
Yeah, and rinse and repeat. And, he says it's some sort of a cruel interrogation, which, the punching in the face wouldn't be so bad. I mean, it would obviously get annoying at some point. But getting the kick to the cojones on repeat, that would suck.
Even if you're a demigod, I'm pretty sure that would still not.
I'm pretty
be
sure
fun.
there's a limit. Yeah.
Yeah,
and pretty sure they're painful.
Sif is an elite warrior. We saw that in the earlier Thor movies. She's pretty formidable.
Hold back her punches either.
Right.
Especially to Loki, because you cut off her hair.
That's the great thing about it, is that it's not even for like you killed this person or you betrayed me in battle. It was just
Right.
you cut my hair and
Yeah.
you thought it was funny, so now I'm gonna beat the crap out of you for it.
Yep.
But that was like, again, that was something that after the end of the episode came, I almost forgot about, because it happened so early, and then everything else that happened in the rest of the episode was so earth-shaking that
Right.
it just completely went off. I mean, I don't even know how we start this conversation about the rest of this episode, but I mean, the onion is, the layers are coming undone, right?
And there's a lot.
Sylvie and Loki had the conversation last week about how everyone at the TVA is a variant.
Right.
We have the information that C20 she's dead, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
Mobius finds this out, and he's like, that doesn't make sense. She seemed like she was fine. She was babbling a little bit, but then, as we find out later in the episode, once Mobius gets Ravona's temp pad,
right,
your alarm went off.
Hey,
wake up time. That's what happens when you record an episode before work. It's very early here on the East Coast today.
It is.
So she was fine when she was getting interrogated back at the TVA.
Right.
Coherent sentences. She's saying, I was there. I used to go to that bar. It's all real. And it turns out TVA snuffed her out.
Ravonna had that like guilty look to the camera, whatever, and you know, Mobius zooms in to see that it is her, and then he has this sort of epiphany, like maybe Loki isn't lying about this. Maybe he's actually telling the truth,
right.
and what if I actually have to trust Loki?
And he got duped because his best friend and maybe somewhat romantic type fling person literally lied to him about someone they just killed, right? And meanwhile, while this is all happening, B20 is kind of going through the same thing, because in 2 episodes prior, when they're at the grocery store for Rock's Cart or whatever, you know, Sylvie enchanted into her mind, and she got to see some things too. So then she goes in, she grabs Sylvie, takes her back to the spot where that happened, said, show me. We got a really cool, like, it was almost like a Blade Runner-y type moment in the rain, where she gets to see her life play out through her mind.
Yeah, it reminded me a bit of that, and almost like a Morpheus to Neo type. Like moment, like she really sees what it's all about.
She got taken out of the real world,
right,
and taken back into the life that she had once had before,
right?
And that was all great, and those are the 2 things that really kind of put this whole second half of the episode into motion, right? Which that leads to chaos in many ways. And I guess we probably should say right at the beginning of the episode, Ravonna goes to see the timekeepers, and we get our first actual look at them just from afar through the fog. We get to see their eyes, and it's like, maybe it's a tease that the timekeepers are in fact real, and they're not just a figment of our imaginations. However, we get to the point where some chaos ensues. Mobius decides he's going to help Loki. That doesn't go very well for him, because he gets reset charged. Does Ravonna do that to him? Is she the one that does it?
No, she doesn't do it. It's one of the hunters of the Minutemen. Yeah, like, which you could kind of tell, and I have to say, for Owen Wilson to sort of act nervous and stutter, and to be vulnerable, and to show this moment of weakness to Loki, and I wasn't sure they were going to do that. I thought they were just going to take him away, and kind of like they did with Hunter C20, but they didn't. They were like, nope, no jail for you, no rehabilitation.
Pruned.
You're dead. Pruned, right? So I wasn't expecting that. I thought he'd last the entire season, and he's gone. I was like, oh, Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
No wow.
No wow.
Just a lot
bad,
of
bad wow. And
he had a very emotional moment though before that happened, where he was
did.
like, you know what? You asked me where I'd want to be on the timeline. I want to
Yep.
be in my old life that I had before all this, and maybe I had a jet ski. And he even brings the jet ski back into it, which I thought was great. But
amazing.
Very tense moment. Great dialogue, great writing, great performances, and then when they hit him with the reset stick, I was just like, all right, I did not expect that, because we're only in episode 4 here. This is not the finale, even though there were parts of this episode that really
seemed like the
kind
finale.
of felt like it would be a finale. So
yeah,
that all happens, and Ravonna has Loki in her custody now. Ravonna also has Sylvie in her custody, and she says, that's it. We're taking him to the Timekeepers. And take him to the Timekeepers, and I don't know about you, but when I first saw them, I kind of chuckled a little bit, because I was like, that is some jank looking CGI on these Timekeepers, and I really hope that Marvel didn't just like completely cheap out or run out of budget on this with these guys, because these are supposed to be like the 3 dudes that keep track of the sacred timeline.
So you know what it reminded me of, and I'll add in there as well, when Ravonna goes to see and get Sylvie, right? Mm-hmm. And Sylvie's leaning back in her chair, but she's drenched. Mm-hmm. And Ravonna knows something's up. Of course, we know that she went back to, was it 2049 or whatever? And and she asked who was here. The guard says it was, Hunter C-15. She insisted, and so Ravonna, puts a little hit on her, and they proceed to the Timekeepers. And when they get to the Timekeepers, right? I don't know if you have ever played Halo 2 or seen Halo 2, or our audience has seen or played Halo 2, but there were the prophets. There were 3 prophets.
Okay.
And, they looked like these, weird space lizards. And so when I see this sort of janked up looking, caricatures, like, I'm like, they look like plasticky, they just,
it's almost like a video game boss that they've
like
run into, right?
It looks like they were just made out of cheap material. I mean this in the most respectful way, but it looks like they were created in the 1970s for a Star Wars movie. You know what I mean? Like they're actual props, like, and
wait, not again. I'm gonna
2 for 2.
For 2 videos in a row. I thought it was fixed, but clearly it's not. Anyway, keep going.
I was like, okay, so they are real, and they're speaking, and I'm like, okay, that that kind of makes sense, and they're receptive to what Loki is saying, or the Lokis are saying, and but it all goes astray once Hunter C-15 makes her entrance.
Yep, she's got the little clicker.
Yeah,
she frees them from their shackles, and then
shackles gone.
Interesting moment there, because I don't think, there's not a whole lot in any part of the MCU where you see Loki do like a lot of hand-to-hand type combat. He does a little bit of it at the end of Ragnarok when they're on the Rainbow Bridge,
right?
But like in the first Avengers movie, he's kind of the one just like leading the charge,
flying around,
orders, using his magic and whatnot. And then in this one, you get like just a good old fashioned fight scene. And it's clear that Sylvie is the better fighter, because
by far,
she has to throw her sword over to Loki, and then she just kind of handles business with her fists, which is fun.
Yeah.
You get that really cool stare down moment between Sylvie and Ravonna before they fight, which was awesome. And she's like, I'm going to finish the job, because she was at that time, the minute person that brought Sylvie in before Sylvie escaped, which is cool, which we haven't even talked about. That was a little flashback there. Fights happen. Minutemen get killed. Ravonna gets knocked out. It's Loki and Sylvie talking to the Timekeepers, and the top one in the middle says something like, Sylvie, you were created by the Timekeepers as well. We can talk, which is like kind of like a really dick thing to say.
I didn't know what they're really getting at there, because I mean, I already had my theories about who she was and where she came from.
Right.
In addition to where the flashback we see in the beginning of the episode as well.
Right.
And the entire time I'm kind of wondering, like, as they're sitting there watching this, it's like, did they know that this was going to happen? Have they seen this before? Right. Are they wondering where it's going to go? Because this isn't really supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. And they make that, or one of them makes that comment to her. Yep. And, you know, I thought it was interesting where Sylvie just knocks Ravonna out. She doesn't kill her.
Yep.
And which is, I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. You know, we don't need any more pruning deaths today. Ha ha ha.
Or do we?
Yeah, or do we? And she's like, no, screw this, and then just
she throws that sword
and
pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah.
Decapitates the middle timekeeper. And then, you know,
I feel
off. Like everyone kind of saw this coming, but we get like the Wizard of Oz type moment where the timekeepers are just robots. And
yeah,
the mystery continues. We're 4 episodes deep into this show, and we don't even really 100% know who the true villain of the series is. I don't even want to try to theorize on it. I want it to be Kang, but I'm not certain. But
yeah. So
cool moment. We find out that they're androids, and that, you know, propels the story forward, I think, into these final 2 episodes, which is great. Loki and Sylvie have a moment where Loki is like, he's getting real close to like putting the moves on his own variant, and he's like, this is new for me. You know, he's like stuttering on his words, myself. Kind of vulnerable a little bit, and
he doesn't want to be alone.
Right before he goes in for the kill, Ravonna is back on her feet, and she reset sticks Loki, and he disappears. Very interesting. I did not see that coming.
I didn't either. I was like,
that's 2 characters that got hit with the reset stick in this episode, where I was like, okay, that's a surprise. I'm interested. I'm down. And then, you know, Sylvie and Ravonna kind of tussle a little bit again, but Sylvie gets the upper hand, and Ravonna tells her, do it, kill me, put me down, which, you know, makes me think that maybe she's starting to see the light a little bit about the TVA and everything too. But Sylvie says, no, you're going to tell me everything. And that's, I think that turns into the exposition dump next episode, probably, about the history of the TVA and who's actually pulling the strings and all that stuff. And I don't know about you, but I thought it was mildly convenient that the only person in that room that's left is the person who, in the canon of the comic books, has a romantic history with Kang the Conqueror.
Yes, I want to believe there's significance in the choice of the end of this episode, for multiple reasons, of course. You know, not just for the sake of Ravonna captured or took Sylvie in when she was young, but now it's the opposite. You know, now Sylvie has Ravonna,
right,
and wants to know what the hell has been happening or what's going on. You know, because as we find
she wants to know about her past, right? She asks Ravonna on the elevator, and Ravonna says, no, I don't remember it, but she kind of has like a little smirk on her face. You know, she knows. So I think you texted me and you were like, the only thing I want is more backstory on Sylvie. And I think hopefully we'll get that now.
Yeah, because, like, you know, I think if one thing we can actually look at for the sake of what happens in the show, when the TVA took Loki had caused something that was not supposed to happen. He wasn't supposed to take the Tesseract,
right?
But he did, and they're like, nope, you're coming with us. So he committed the crime in essence. Sylvie, on the other hand, she was just playing with her toys.
Little Viking boat
in Asgard, like an innocent child, right? It's like she was abducted for no reason. It's like, you know, someone came in, like, you know, some authority came in and was like, nope, you're coming with me. It's like, but I didn't do anything.
Well, that's the thing. I'm curious about what that inciting incident is, because in the first episode of the show, they say it could be something massive, or it could just be somebody like showing up late to work that sets off like a snowball where a whole bunch of series of events happen, and then the timeline is shattered. Like, what did little baby Sylvie do? Did she just like not wash her hands after she went to the bathroom, and then like that caused the end of the universe, or what? You know,
like saying if she does something when she's older, then why not let her live her life to that point? Or like it's like saying, why grab Loki at this point when he takes the Tesseract instead of grabbing him like, oh, I don't know, 500 years ago?
Right.
You know, so it's the choice of when the TVA shows up that kind of has me like, what?
Yeah, because they said they can't show up prior to the Nexus event.
Right.
I think they said that in the second episode when they went to the Renaissance Fair. So
yes, that
means that when they go pick up baby Sylvie, it has to be very shortly after she did whatever she did that caused that branch in the timeline.
Yep.
Because there's only a finite amount of time in between the event happening and when it gets to that red line at the top of their little temp pads. So
yeah,
something must have happened in that room when she was playing with that Viking boat that triggered the end of the universe.
And this like my quick theory I'll say on this is because of who Sylvie is in. Again, they may not be going the route of the comics here with this. It wouldn't be the first time that they don't in the MCU. Yeah. But if I had to take a wild guess, it's because Loki, in essence, created Sylvie, and you know Sylvie wanted to be this Asgard. She's not really an Asgardian, but she was given powers. So I don't know if she was just given powers at that time, and then she does something with them. You know, maybe she enchanted someone new at that young age, and it sets off this Nexus event, right?
Right.
So
or maybe she didn't even know that she enchanted somebody because she was young. Didn't understand her power. Something like that. Yeah,
so
it's a possibility. But
yeah, again, there's one thing we know from WandaVision: the shit we come up with and the things that we think are going to happen, they usually don't end up happening.
Total 180.
Right? Like,
all of it.
Yeah, I said it once before, I'll say it once again. We didn't get mutants, we didn't get Fantastic Four, and we didn't get Mephisto.
We'll get all those things.
Eventually.
It will
not in that show, not in this show.
Maybe not Mephisto, but the mutants in the Fantastic Four will definitely happen.
Yes.
Wow. So God, that's so much. And then all that happens, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. The credits. I can sit back and relax. This is okay.
Digest.
Wrong. So there's an after credits scene. We get those wonderful credits that they put together that have all those cool little visuals in them, and then we get a stinger, which Marvel at this point, like, they're just forcing you to watch the credits because you don't know which episode's going to have something after it, which I think is great. But we hit this after credits scene. We see Loki, and he says, "Am I dead? Am I in hell?" So we know that the pruning doesn't necessarily kill them because he's still alive, or so it seems.
To some degree, yeah.
And when he says, "Am I in hell?" I think the other Loki says, "Not yet," or something, and you need to follow us.
Not yet voice.
And then we have 4 Lokis there that are just standing there. So we've got Richard E. Grant, who was rumored to be in this show. He looks like he's straight out of like an Adam West Batman version of Loki. And in the credits after the episode, he's referred to as Classic Loki.
Yep.
There's a small child who's referred to in the credits as Kid Loki.
Kid Loki, yeah.
There is a large, muscular Loki of color who is holding a golden hammer. Badass. Yeah. In the credits, he's referred to as Boastful Loki. So it kind of sounds like he might be like in a universe where he's more of Thor,
like Thor-ish,
and Thor is more like a Loki, which is kind of cool. And then there's a damn alligator with horns on.
Not a goat, not a dog, an alligator.
An alligator with Loki horns on. And like, people have been making jokes since the show started that with all the different variants and whatnot, that there's a possibility that Frog Thor is out there. And then like I saw that, and the first thing I thought was, if we actually get a Frog Thor by the end of this series, I'm just gonna do a
cameo,
cartwheel. And I can't do a cartwheel. I'll fall over. I don't care. I'm gonna do it anyway. But that was awesome. And so now we've got people are getting excited about Spider-Man No Way Home because there's like the rumor that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are coming back, and that there's going to be 3 Spider-Men.
3 Spideys.
But in this episode of Loki, we had 6 Lokis.
6 Lokis.
Loki, Sylvie, Classic, Boastful, Kid, and Gator. So that's amazing. I'm really curious to see where that little team up goes. And I thought it was kind of funny because we're getting a team up of Lokis, and as that's playing out, there's a cue that sounds a lot like the original Avengers theme that then goes into like a twisted version of it. And then on the right-hand side of the frame, in all the rubble behind them, was Avengers Tower.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems like they're in New York, which is the place that Loki failed right before he ended up at the TVA. So again, we're now 2/3 of the way through this thing, and more questions than answers, right?
Yeah, I was going to say more questions than answers. I don't know why they're all there in the first place. And again, the question is, what does pruning actually do? Does it can't necessarily reset them, or does it? But it would make sense for Loki to be reset into 2012 Avengers, and to have 4 other Lokis there. So I was reading a lot of comics last night and thinking about what the hell could this be from. I love that Richard D. Grant was classic Loki from like old comics.
Yep.
Which definitely fit because since he is older, and I was looked at his old comic like uniform or costume, but I don't know if they were in limbo. Like he mentions hell, like HEL.
Yep.
Where his evil, twisted, demented sister resides, and which I thought was cool. If you had the subtitles on it, it said that.
Oh, was it just hell with one L?
One L, yeah.
Nice, that's awesome.
So I'm like, that's cool. I like that they did that.
Very cool.
But I don't know if they were in limbo, which could make sense to a degree. But here's the thing: if they were in limbo, that involves Kang again.
Right.
And we already have a direct connection because of Ravonna Renslayer.
Yeah.
So I want Kang to be behind this. Like people may not know that Kang and the Timekeepers are super involved with one another in the comics. And I won't even get into that right now, but just know that it's highly possible that we could still see something Kang related. I would love to see something Kang related. Just the mentioning of one of his aliases to me would be like the icing on the cake for this show.
Whether it's an Immortus or
Ramatut, Iron Lad, just doesn't matter to me. It really Nathaniel Richards, doesn't matter.
I want one of them. Just mention it, or maybe even let him show up. I mean, like Kang Watch 2021 is now in effect for the next 2 weeks.
Pretty much in our book, I guess, right?
It's popping off. It's going crazy for sure. I don't know about you. I thought this was the best episode of Marvel TV so far out of all 3 series. It hit all the boxes for me, and I was in it the whole time. I was delirious. I had no sleep, and that episode woke me up more than a coffee or an energy drink or anything ever could. So
I would put the shocking moments of the if there's any other episode that had a shocking moment, I'd say episode 4 in Falcon and Winter Soldier after
with the blood on the shield.
Blood on the shield.
Yeah.
It kind of had that similar effect because of all the pruning and the deaths and the realizations and the questions on questions, the flashback, the other characters or variants involved, and it's man, we are. I don't know if people realize this or not, but we are deep in the multiverse now.
Oh yeah, it has to be. This is the beginning of it, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So, I really quick, I would give this one a 9.2 out of 10.
Yeah, I was gonna say a solid 9. I really hope that the next 2 episodes are
I hope so.
Equally as good, if not better, with the amount of just overall story driven content that we get. You know, I want to see more backstory. Again, if we could get some sort of hint at someone who at what's going on or what's been going on, what's, you know, who the villain might be. You know, I'm expecting more between Sylvie, Ravonna, TVA, obviously all the Lokis. Yep. You know, is Mobius still alive?
Yeah, the chance is there. So
what does all of it mean? Do we see, like, in the beginning of the whole series, we see the whole thing about the TVA with what's her face, Miss Minutes.
Yeah, there's got to be more to her too. I feel like there's a lot of heavy lifting that the show has to do in the last 2 hours. But
are the timekeepers actually alive and real, or are they being controlled like Muppets, or are they like the CEO that just, thing? Yeah, I'm like, maybe they're just the CEOs that don't show up to the office, and you don't know, you've never seen them before. You've just seen like only a few people have seen their picture on the wall, and that's it. So.
Man. Wild times.
Yes.
And like, just couple that in with the fact that like next week is the penultimate episode, and then Black Widow comes out 2 days later, and then the finale. It's like a Marvel palooza for this part of the summer. But man, I think we need to go take a nap after all that discussion.
Then I'll watch it again.
And then watch it again and try to wrap our brains around it. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. We would love to hear your thoughts. I know there was a lot. There are a lot of theories that can come from this, lots of reactions. So please drop us a comment below and let us know what you thought. And if you'd like to support this channel for free, you can go ahead, click the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on your notifications so that way you don't miss any future videos from us. And until next time, we'll see you guys in the next video.
Peace.